Chaser Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report with Dom and Charles.
Happy anniversary, Charles.
Yay!
1 year of the Albanese government, which means it's 1 year since the Morrison government ended. And I must say, Charles, if looking back on the past 12 months, it seems that several of the most egregious scandals of the past 12 months involved Scott Morrison. So I got to say,
Yes.
congratulations to him for having such a long tail.
Yes.
He may not have been Prime Minister, but the multiple ministry stuff, the robo-debt, the legacy that he's left is just, I mean, it's made the Albanese government's first year very enjoyable for the Albanese government, I'm imagining.
Well, this is the thing that is really interesting about Scott Morrison, and I think more interesting than his predecessors, Tony Abbott and Malcolm Turnbull, right? Which is that the more distance you get from him, the weirder he feels. It's like one of those 3D paintings, right? Like those magic eye things. Oh, no, it's not like that at all. No, but it's like the more you look at him, the less you can see. He's a really...
Oh, I see what you mean.
I think he's going to be I think in 20 years' time we're going to go, what the hell was Australia thinking? Because he sort of...
Well, it was very clear what Australia was thinking, Charles, to be fair. I mean, it's not that hard to remember. They were thinking, no, Bill Shorten, thank you very much, his campaign based on higher taxes somehow fell flat, rather than going... it was pretty obvious even then that what you do is you don't make any terrifying promises that they can run against you on. And then ahead of your second term, that's when you start to do the stuff that's a little bit more challenging, like John Howard with the GST.
Yes.
Rudd and Howard and now Albanese all did the same formula of small target. And Short was like, nope, I'm going to trust the Australian people with my plans. And that's why Scott Morrison was Prime Minister.
Yes, you're right. That is right.
For another 3 years.
And actually, just thinking about it, he almost immediately started failing, didn't he? Like, before COVID, there was the bushfires, and all his, going to Hawaii and everything.
Hawaii, that's true.
Anyway,
But we're supposed to be talking about the Albanese government's first 12 months, which have been made dramatically easier by Scott Morrison.
Yes, that's true. More of that after this break. So the point being, I reckon, you can sort of, in terms of a report card of how the first year has gone, you got to say, incredibly boring B student, don't you think?
I mean, isn't that the aim?
Yes.
Isn't the aim?
Yes.
And Albanese's done a bunch of first anniversary interviews over the course of the weekend, which generally say, well, we're going to try for an A. What are you talking about? Progressives, get back in your box.
But I think that we've been so trained over the last, say, several thousand years to expect that our rulers will just immediately break all their promises.
That's true, actually.
That it is very weird and very sort of discombobulating seeing Anthony Albanese generally follow his promises.
Yes, even on the stage 3 tax cuts, which really, given how much the economic conditions have changed since they were legislated, as he keeps reminding us, like his line is, but it's the law of the land that there's stage 3 tax cuts. We couldn't possibly change that. I mean, everything else will reform.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of government is, of course, to change the laws of the land. But quite aside from that little tiny detail that when you become government, you can actually change
the laws.
And then in actual fact, if people vote for change, then they probably expect change. Yeah.
Yes, but he said he wouldn't do it. And this is the thing. This is the thing that's so interesting. I mean, he has actually ticked off a lot of things that they said that they'd do. Things like the federal ICAC,
yes,
changes to industrial laws, the arts policy. There are a bunch of things that they've kind of been quietly going on and doing. But in some of the areas where they were campaign hardest, things like certainly job seeker and the biggest one is probably climate change, it's certainly been slow and steady wins, maybe not the race, but positive courage from News Corp. Well, that didn't really happen.
It's been a win for the fossil fuel industry. Let's face it. It's
funny how that always seems to happen.
Yeah. Look, I think. Should we talk about the new coal mine? Have we talked about the new coal mine on this podcast?
The new coal. There's so many. It's hard to remember which one you mean. We did talk about how she approved several things on the same day. Tanya Plibersek, the Environment Minister, probably not the most delighted member of the first year. I think she's had a worse first year than most. I've seen a lot of ministers on social media proudly printing all these graphics of all the things that they've done. I haven't seen whether Tanya's done one of those.
No.
Just a big lump of coal.
Well, yeah. But there are a lot of little things. I want to talk about the little things.
Why don't you talk about the little things?
So
but by the way, just to correct the record, let me read this out before we get to the little things. Tanya Plibersek on Instagram. We've achieved a lot for the environment in our first year. Committed to protecting 30% of our lands and oceans by 2030. Legislated a path to net zero. Double the number of renewable energy projects. Zero new extinctions is their target. Have you heard of that one?
Zero extinction.
They want zero extinctions, including Tanya. I think Tanya's at the top of the list of people who doesn't want to
I would think she's very endangered in her seed. Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of other things on the list, recycling, building a circular economy, and so on. Doesn't say anything about the coal mines. I can't see a single graphic here saying
very weird.
Approved a bunch of coal mines and, kept the Dani and all the other things.
Yeah. That's so weird.
But there's lots of pictures of her with trees.
Why would you not?
Look, here she is in some sort of wetland.
Is she chopping down the trees?
That's the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah.
She's holding the little girl's hand in the outback. Maybe she's telling her, don't worry, you can work at the coal mine. We're opening around the corner. I'm not sure.
So, but there are, on Tanya, she counts as one of the little things, right? One of the things that Tanya's done in the last year is declare that sort of Macquarie Island.
Yes, that's actually mentioned in the list here.
Right, is going to be a marine sanctuary, right? And that is actually important to the future wealth of the entire globe because actually that sub-Antarctic, which Australia has responsibility for, is responsible for 75% of the ocean's nutrition.
Oh.
Like all the sort of nutrients that come, that other fish eat all around the world come from the sub-Antarctic. It's an incredibly rich, nutrient-rich sort of ecosystem.
What's the Engadine McDonald's of
Yes. And
seas.
And so the fact that they're going to turn it into a marine sanctuary, it's going to piss off a whole lot of fishing people. But actually, it's incredibly important. And then the other little thing that I just wanted to note is I walked into a bank on Thursday to try and set up a bank account. And the teller was unnecessarily chatty to me.
Well, they don't have much to do these days.
No,
internet banking.
I think he was trying to...
Oh, my God, a human customer's walked into the bank.
And he was saying that the moment... Because I said, have you noticed any change between Labor and Liberal? Like, once Labor got in any
Gosh, you're in touch with the people, Charles.
No, it's because he was sort of going, I've got to do all this know your customer stuff, anti-money laundering stuff. And I don't remember that ever being a thing where you've got to know all your numbers and everything.
No, in fact, Scott Morrison was very much against checking the details of applications for instance, jobs.
Yeah, well,
new ministries.
But, imagine Scott Morrison walking into the bank. He'd have to show like 5 different identities for all his ministries and everything. But no, so he says, no, the moment Labor got in, APRA, which is the prudential authority that oversees banks.
Bank regulator,
just suddenly cracked down on all this know your customer stuff. That's why we've got to be all strict about it.
That's pretty funny. I got this call from the Commonwealth Bank saying, we need all your details about the Chaser bank account, which I never operated. I don't know. It's so bizarre. I've never been involved in the bank account of the Chaser, at least as far maybe there's a Shell bank account with my name on it somewhere. There wouldn't be any money in it. In fact, I inquired and there wasn't.
Yeah.
So, it was closed about 10 years ago. But nevertheless, good work, CBA. Very thorough.
That's good. That's very good.
Impressive. Hang on, is there a Shell company I need to find out about? Anyway,
no
let's talk off the podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's so. What are we going to say? B plus. B
minus? The thing that Tanya didn't put in that little montage on Instagram was she didn't put turned up to work each day despite everything, which is probably her biggest achievement over the past 12 months. The person who was going to be deputy PM with Bill Shorten, was going to be education minister, and now has to reprove Commonwealth.
Yes, and apparently, my understanding, the gossip is that actually a lot of those announcements that she's being forced to make are coming direct from Albo's office. That essentially he's just
read this one,
piling it on. Yeah, exactly. So,
well, you know what, Charles? The amazing thing is that if it ever becomes all too much, either just for a weekend or a week or on a permanent basis, she can go to the Macquarie Island Marine Sanctuary.
Yes.
And there's no internet access there. There's nothing there, I think. And she can just have a break.
And it is true. Like, the environment minister, of all the ministers, I think is actually one of the most powerful ministers in terms of a lot of stuff she personally has to approve for things to progress.
Yeah, they gave
right?
a lot of discretion so that when the coalition's in power, they can wave things through personally.
Yes.
And get the great thing is if you're going to a donor
Yes.
who wants something approved,
Yes.
and you're the person who can personally wave it through, it's a
Yes.
lot easier to get a big check.
So maybe she should just start that grift. Like maybe the problem is she's sort of resisting
Oh, and
her
so
power.
she's being sent.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true, but she's being told by head office, by the people
Yeah.
who know, approve this thing. She should be going to the donors and saying, "Look, it's up to me.
Yeah.
I haven't made my mind up. What do you reckon? Got any checks?"
I wonder whether that's what she did with Macquarie Island. She went to the Penguins and said, "Well, come on, Emperor Penguins, what do you got for me?"
I mean,
Yeah.
look, how long's it been since a brown paper bag full of money was last seen in Labor headquarters? When did Sam Dastyari resign again? I can't remember. So there you go. Albo's government is one.
Yeah, and look, he's clearly aiming to be there for a long time. The problem is, don't you think that he's sort of positioned himself as a centre? Like politically, he's brilliant, right? Like he's positioned himself as a centre-right party. The Liberal Party have nowhere to go. The Greens will end up becoming quite big, I think.
Well, that would actually be a huge accomplishment. You know what? If during the course of his term as Prime Minister, Labor becomes the main centre-right party, and the Greens become... Because Labor's obviously, let's be fair to them, their policy is very different from the coalition's.
Yes.
And the Greens become the centre-left party, or the left party. All that the Liberals have left is the let's pick on First Nations people angle, which seems to be what they're doing, focusing on.
Well, I think that's a very... I mean... This is Australia. I think it's got a long history of working.
They're probably still the centre. While they're saying no to the voice, they're probably still the centre party.
Tom.
I know. Look, no, the polls aren't that bad. I feel like the voice at this stage in the process is exactly the sort of we're sick of the whole thing endorsement that same-sex marriage had, where everyone's just like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. And that's actually, by the Australian people's standards, that's a ringing endorsement.
Did you see Noel Pearson on Friday going up against Mick Gooder?
Mick Gooder, yeah, I saw the comments reported. It was
unbelievable.
I mean, where's that?
Yeah.
That's what I want to see on Q&A. With all respect to Stan Grant, it's a sad situation. That's what Q&A should be. It should be a cage match.
Yes.
People who really disagree. Wouldn't that be fun? But you don't want a moderator, Charles.
We'll just play a little grab of Noel Pearson's appearance on ABC Radio on Friday morning.
This is from RN Breakfast, yeah.
From RN Breakfast.
And on the nights when there was a scary movie like The Exorcist or, you know, The Night of the Living Dead, we were prone to wetting the bed. And this is what little Mickey Good has done here. He's wetting the bed far too early in the day.
See, that's the sort of, like, just personal attack that we haven't seen in a politician since Paul Keating. I reckon Noel Pearson is the first politician, or a political figure, not politician, but person since Paul Keating to actually just get down in the mud and just punch people in the face.
Have that much of a dressing.
Yes, and it's so entertaining. Like,
Peter Dutton must have saw that and just thought, I can't. I know I'm a Queensland cop, but I can't compete with this sort of...
I think that the Labor Party needs to recruit Noel Pearson. Although, is he a Lib or is he...
I'm not sure.
I think he might be a Lib.
If he's wise, he probably hasn't really played his cards.
Right, but...
You don't want to do a Warren Mundine and be the federal president of Labor and then a coalition candidate and then the face of the No campaign. That's an odd trajectory to have had.
But what I'm saying is, let's get rid of Albo and have Noel Pearson as our Prime Minister because it would be so much more entertaining.
Charles, you see, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't. Now, this is Australia. Have you learnt nothing from Stan Grant's comments over the weekend? Yeah, you're not going to have an Aboriginal man running a thing. That's just not the way this country works. You're not going to have Stan Grant, for instance, being the managing director of the ABC or on the board or have be anything other than someone who they trundle out when they want to have a bit of acknowledging the kind of facts of the coronation. That's what he's there for. You bring him out. You bring him for Q&A. You don't put him in charge. That's just not how Australia works. The managers are white. It's just the system. Yeah. So if you feel a little bit depressed, that's just sort of where we are, isn't it? I mean, look, we've come a long way since the days of the multiple ministries and the vaccine debacle. At least we're not in lockdown, Charles.
Yeah, look, I think so. What I was about to say, just to complete my thought about Albo aiming to be a long-term government.
Oh yes,
like that's his whole idea is slow and steady wins the race,
which is what he's done so far.
And just always say what you're going to do and then do it and promise, and, except for poor people and stuff like that, you don't need to hold those promises. But,
Well, just because the point is you got out of the council flat, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And stay in the lodge as long as possible. The thing that I'd say is he has to become better at telling a story for that to work, right? Like, he has no story. Like, the Labor Party have no story. Like, I think one of the reasons why it's sort of hard to work out, well, what did they do in their first year, is because there's no overarching story about, oh, well, we got in and we want, like, who are they governing on behalf of? Like, what are they doing? What are they, what's their...
The funniest thing? The funniest thing is that the answer to that question, if you're a News Corp journalist or the coalition, you'll say the unions, you'll say the workers, you'll say the poor.
Yeah.
The Chaser Report. Less news, less often.
Wages have gone backwards in real terms greater in the last year than in the last 20 years. Like, this is the worst real wage growth in 20... Well, it's actually going backwards for the first time in 20 years. Like,
not for Albo, personally. He's doing all right.
There's no story there. What is the story? I don't know what the story is. What's his story?
His story is, I'm not going to frighten the horses. I'm not going to freak you out. I'm not one of those scary firebrand lefties.
Right.
I don't fight Tories anymore. If anything, I go and speak at their luncheon functions.
So the story is you've actually got somebody vaguely competent in charge.
You know what he's turning into? He's turning into, and I'm not. He's turning into the Labor John Howard, because the genius of John Howard was until his final term, until his fourth term, he just, whatever policy setting he needed to get 52% of the people on board, he did. And that's where Albo is.
Yeah.
Albo just wants to have a slim majority with doing the kinds of things, nothing hugely radical that people might like, and the opposition's absolutely nowhere. Just as... Albo's doing what you need to do to create a Simon Crean opposition leader.
But Albo did, like, he's doing a sort of reverse Howard, because Howard did the intervention in his last term and did all that stuff to First Nations people and made that a huge thing about his. Whereas Albo is sort of doing a reverse intervention in his first term. Does that mean that in Albo's fourth term he'll start handing all the guns back?
I think we talked about this the other day. Yeah. Could be. But this is the thing. If the goal, and this is the thing that Labor probably forgot for about a decade, but if the goal is to actually govern, if you want to become the natural party of government, he's doing exactly what he needs to do, which is both highly competent, given his job, but also massively depressing in some respects as well.
Yeah, so just listen to your real bosses, which are coal mining executives and
voters in marginal seats.
In marginal seats.
Bill Shorten can tell you about that one.
And negative gearing people. And make sure you don't scare anyone
no scare campaigns.
Who negative gears because they probably own the Australian.
And as soon as Peter Dutton comes out and tries to scare campaign you on negative gearing or something, you just say, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Give him
and
nothing.
You just literally implement the other side's policy or all the policies that could possibly have a scare campaign around them. You just sort of don't change.
Well, you know what his pitch is? His pitch is, and this is very clear in the Sydney Morning Herald interview, his pitch is we are actually going to change stuff slowly and cautiously and not all at once.
Yes.
And so, in 10 years, we might look back and say, that Albanese, he made at least one change.
That's right.
But, I mean...
in the meantime, there was 100 coal mines commissioned.
Yeah, and the cost of living went backwards and the rich got richer. But, I mean, I guess he would say, and I don't know why he's not on the podcast to celebrate his first year. I thought you had connections in Labor, Charles. But anyway.
Yeah, we should get him on.
He would say, well, he's going to try and get the voice up. If he's got the voice up, isn't that his first term basically?
Yeah, no, and that would be an achievement.
If it would, likely. Do you think it's going to happen? I still feel like it probably will. I feel like it's going to get a slight majority and just the four states.
Let's get Thomas Mayo on and have a chat about the voice.
That would be great, because that would actually mean we were providing a voice to people who so politely and patiently asking for one.
Yes,
at least on
yes.
the podcast.
But I don't want it to be written into the Constitution that we have to have.
No, and we certainly shouldn't have to consult.
No.
It's just nice when we do. It's polite.
And only at a sort of like legislative,
and just as long as
not in any effective way, like at an executive level.
Yes, and certainly not in a way where we're obliged to do what the voice says. So we can have him on.
Yes,
but we're not.
Well, that is what the proposal is.
Just hear it.
Yeah.
Here's your space. Have a chat. Tell us what you think.
Have a chat, and then we can just totally
just
ignore.
As long as it's a voice. It's not. It's not power.
No.
It's just. It's a soapbox.
Yeah.
It's the little soapbox in the domain where you actually don't have to listen to it. Look at something.
Why? This is the most depressing podcast I think I've ever been involved with.
Why do we do Australian politics? Why don't we do something else?
Well, okay. So I'm going to go and you don't have any sort of rope or
sharp
razors around, do you?
No, look. No, the way to die under the Albanese government, Charles,
is slowly.
It's slowly
and methodically,
and not being able to afford a GP.
That's right.
That's if you're in some sort of desperate health condition and you think to yourself, well, I'd like to go to the GP, but it's going to cost me hundreds of dollars.
No, but actually, Dom, I have to disagree with you there because he's doubled the number of pills that you're allowed to get from pharmacies.
Oh,
so it'll become much easier to top yourself.
If you need to call Lifeline. You should. Is that
you
free?
Probably do after this episode.
Yeah, no.
I do.
It's not.
All right.
Look, we promised, Charles, that when Labor came into power,
we're joking. Yeah,
when Labor came into power, we would satirise them. We'd scrutinise them. We wouldn't celebrate what they've done. And I think we've delivered.
We've delivered on that promise.
I think, I think the Albanese government has also delivered on being eminently satirisable. So well done,
yes, that's
Albo and team.
Our gear is from Road. We're part of the Iconoclast Network, and if you're still with us tomorrow, catch you then.
We won't talk about Albo tomorrow. How about that?
Yeah,
that's a deal.